Japan Journal with Mal Adams, Japan's #1 weekly online cybercast.
This Week in Japan is presented by the Japan Center for Information and Cultural Affairs and is brought to you by Sagawa Express, Amran Tateshi Electronics Company, NYK Line, and by Nomura.
This is Nidobaru Air Base, located near the city of Miyazaki on Japan's southernmost main island of Kyushu. It is a facility of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, where Japanese and U.S. Air Force fighter pilots are conducting combined military exercises to better prepare them for the defense of Japan. You'll see how Japanese and American flyers interact with each other in planning a simulated dogfight over the Pacific Ocean. And we'll show you how prepared both nations' pilots are in making a rapid response to a threat from an enemy. I'm Mal Adams. These stories and more coming up on This Week in Japan. Now, in our first feature report, Japan and the United States join forces in a major military exercise. They call it the sound of peace. The ear-piercing noise of supersonic aircraft filled the air during a combined U.S.-Japan military training exercise dubbed COPE North 85. The U.S. Air Force and Marine Corps joined the Japan Air Self-Defense Force for air combat tactics training and maritime operations. It was the 26th exercise of its kind and the 6th to be held at Japan's Nidobaru Air Base on the southernmost main island of Kyushu. F-15 aircraft from the Pacific Air Force's 18th Tactical Fighter Wing at Kadena Air Base, Japan, participated along with the Marine Corps F-4 aircraft from the 15th Marine Group at Iwakuni Air Station. They were joined by F-15, F-4, and F-1 aircraft from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. The combined operation was designed to give the American forces a chance to interact with their Japanese counterparts so that in the event the U.S. was called upon to assist the Japanese in the defense of their country, the American forces would be better prepared to respond on all levels. Much of Japan's defense today is provided by men like these, top fighter pilots from the U.S. Air Force. They are joined by their Japanese counterparts who share the burden. Before each mission, the men are briefed as to the conditions of their simulated air battle. Flight leader Captain Marion Timberlake says it's like a big chess game in the sky.
One side trying to outmaneuver, outflank the other side, and then once the initial moves are completed, then you get down to the basics of applying your aircraft to its maximum advantage. For the F-15, we use our radar to find and identify which targets to attack. For their aircraft, if they don't have the same capability, then they attempt to outwit us by maneuver and deception.
This is the F-15, one of the U.S. Air Force's most effective fighter planes. It is known for its speed and maneuverability and its ability to track an enemy aircraft with its sensitive built-in radar system. Flying at supersonic speeds thousands of feet in the air is said to be an awesome, breathtaking experience. An experience this reporter is about to get firsthand. Japan has comparable aircraft to the American-made F-15s, but their version is made by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries on license from McDonnell Douglas. And though there are a few differences in the equipment, when operated by qualified fighter pilots, they can be just as effective. Timberlake says the Japanese use their equipment well.
Yes, I would rate them as very, very top-notch. Many of their flyers have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 hours in various aircraft. On this particular deployment, we have some younger pilots with maybe 500 hours total flying time in fighter-type aircraft. And so they have some very experienced people, and it is very apparent in the way that they fly the airplanes.
Japan has been criticized in the U.S. for not doing enough for its own defense. Military analysts say the equipment used by its ground self-defense force needs modernizing. Sources in the U.S. military say they must acquire more equipment for its maritime and air self-defense forces and increase the sustainability of all three. But that takes money. And while there is a policy of limiting defense spending to 1% of the gross national product, these joint U.S.-Japan military exercises come at a time when the mood among many Japanese politicians is changing. And it is believed in some political circles here that it won't be long before that 1% ceiling is exceeded. But how does a nation with a constitution that renounces war make provisions to defend itself in a time of conflict? It is a tough political puzzle for Prime Minister Yasuhiro Nakasoni's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, especially in light of the nation's militaristic past. One way around the dilemma is that Japan does not maintain an army, a navy, and an air force. It has self-defense forces. By law, they posture themselves strictly in a defensive role.
In the event that Japan were to be attacked by a foe, obviously they would employ their forces to defend themselves. And when you employ those forces, you're taking the offense. But you're taking the offense to defend your homeland. You're not taking the offense in order to take other territory and to hold that territory. That's not the purpose of the Japan self-defense forces. Their purpose is just that, the defense of Japan.
And so it is this week in Japan. Until next week, Mal Adams, CNN, at Mutaburu Air Base.
This program is presented by the Japan Center for Information and Cultural Affairs in order to create better understanding between Japanese and American peoples.